Well, a very good morning to everybody. In this video, we are going to be doing a walk on the Aberdeenshire coast from Macduff to Gardenstown. Now, we are here in Gardenstown right now. We're going to be catching the bus across to Macduff. Now, whilst waiting for the bus, which is in about 45 minutes time, we're just going to take a look around Gardenstown. It is a nice, interesting, pretty little village. So we've got the Gardenstown Heritage Centre here. I think that's worth a visit. And then on the other side, we've got the harbour. A bit bigger than John O'Groats, which I visited last weekend. So at the western end of the harbour, we go this way. And these hills here, this cliff, this coastline here, that's where I'll be coming from later on today. Okay. Hello.
Hiya.
Macduff, please.
Okay. Is it a single?
Single, yes, please.
Yeah.
Going in, you get to in about 6 at the very
Mark you back there in the car for me.
so I walk another way, but I can mention the least of being game.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so here we are in Macduff. So what we're going to do is follow the coastal roads and footpaths out of Macduff, and we'll just keep as close to the coast as we can. It's a bustling little harbour, I have to say. Fancy a boat for sale? Why not? That's quite small. Definitely, it's definitely small. Well, this is Macduff shipyard. They certainly have plenty of boats out of the water being repaired. Well, that's the Macduff aquarium, and it's all closed. It looks like it's being renovated. So you can see where we are heading to. This is the coastline we're going to be walking. It's quite rugged, but we should be able to walk above the cliffs most of the way. This is Tarlair Pools. Let's take a closer look. Well, here we are. So back in the 1950s and 60s, this was apparently the place to go. Now it's completely closed in terms of the pools. But I have to say, the pavilion looks like it's in good condition. Yeah, this is open. So you can go in and get yourself a cup of tea and some cake. Be mindful of this place. So there's no way along the bottom of the cliffs. So what we're going to do is go to the top of the cliffs. And there's a footpath just here, which is reasonably easily graded. We'll just carry on this way. Watch out for the gorse at the top of the footpath. And here we are, emerging onto a golf course. So this is probably the last point where we say goodbye to Macduff. We're running out of golf course as well, beyond which we have got farmers' fields. So this is really one of the things I wanted to talk about. There is no footpath along this stretch of coast. And in terms of Aberdeenshire, this, in combination with Troop Head, all the way to Pennon, it's got some fine high clifftop coastline here, and there's no footpath. for most of that distance. But in other parts of the northeast of Scotland, we do have a footpath. And it's a real shame because it's spectacular. It's going to be spectacular scenery. That's what I want to show off to you on this walk. And footpaths, they bring visitors into this part of the country. And it's almost like people are saying, we don't care about that. We don't care about whether you have visitors or not. And a real shame. But we're going to walk the walk and see what it's like. Here's the first barbed wire obstacle. There is some kind of footpath here. It's a ditch. So we'll cross over this ditch. Right. Yeah, there is a footpath on the outside of the field just here. So that's our coast, very nice. Let's carry on. So this is what we have. You are, according to your outdoor access code, allowed to walk around the edges of fields, which is what I'm doing. The other side of the fence is pretty rough and it gets steep at places. There's one place where there was a bit of cliff that had separated from the main mass of the land, and it was poised to just collapse. And the footpath was quite close to that, and then I realised that the footpath itself was on a bit of separating land as well. But this side of the fence, it's quite easy to walk on. This is April time, so it's not growing just yet. But if you do this in the summertime, of course it will be quite tricky until the harvest in September. So September through to April, probably the best time to do this walk, but magnificent views, and the cliffs get higher further up. We end up here. Now we want to get to that field over there, but it's quite steep. We've got not just this ravine, we've also got this ravine to deal with. So what you can see is that the slope isn't that steep, but gorse really is as good as barbed wire fence. It's not attractive things to try and attack in terms of trying to walk through it. So I'm going to do what the guidebook says, go back to the road. So cross over this field, and now we've got the road to walk on for a short distance. So this is where we turn off, Melrose Farms. And now that was, it was about 200 meters. So back where those houses were. So now we carry on to here, stick to this lane. And there seems to be a small ravine to go through. I'm hoping the lane goes down that way. So here we have a bridge which the lane crosses over. This is the ravine I mentioned. And we have access to a gate here. And I think you can get back to the cliff this way. So this is where I've come up from, these trees. Let's see where we end up. And back onto the fields. Very good. So back at the cliff. So it's quite a long field, this one, and I don't think there are any more ravines to negotiate. So it should be straightforward to get to Gardenstown from here now, I hope. But as you can see, it's a nice bit of coastline. You can see the high point in the distance, so a fair distance to go. But you've got quite a high cliff beyond. So we've got Crovey, and we've got Troop Head on the headland as well. Well, it looks like the ground's been harvested for turnips, Swedes. I don't eat either of those normally, but it's rougher ground here, that's for sure. So looking back at the coast and the wind turbine. Well, after crossing a barbed wire fence, we're now into a livestock field. So this continues on for a little way, but we have gorse guarding the cliff edge here, so we can't really look over the edge. Well, we're getting high now. We can look quite a ways back. You can see the bin of Cullen in the distance. Now, if it was more sunny, less hazy, this would be a fantastic landscape shot, I'm sure. Well, I've gone over the brow of the hill and I think I can see a footpath over here. So, yes, it is a dedicated footpath, and it's very well graded. It's very similar to the one that they've got in Troop Head, but it's not the kind of footpath I think we need from Macduff to Gardenstown. I don't think it is. I think this is far too much footpath. This is quite an expensive piece of footpath to put down. I think all we need from Macduff to Gardenstown are a bunch of stars everywhere, every so often, and some appropriate waymarked sections, particularly in the big dip. There probably needs to be a bit of attention there, but all told, I think we just need a footpath that can be carved by other people, but with assistance over barbed wire fences. But this is very nice, and I will perfectly happily accept it. Well, we've rounded the corner and you can see Crovey, and you can also see the top end of Gardenstown. What you can't see is the big cliff. All of this gorse gets in the way, so we are just left with a low fence and a well graded path to walk on. Well, we can now see Gardenstown, and I have to say this is a great view of it from up here. It's superb. So the nicely graded path also continues down the slope towards Gardenstown. So lower down, the constructed footpath gives way to a grassy path, and I think we have a Commonwealth war grave here. So, a warning sign telling us to do so at our own risk. Lovely views though. So far, no obvious damage to the footpath. Well, so far I can't see any damage to this footpath. The only thing I can see, which might be an issue, is up ahead there is a bit of grass which has slipped above the footpath. Oh yeah, and we've got a little bit of erosion here. But the footpath itself, yeah, this looks like it's been repaired. So all told, nothing particular in terms of hazards which I don't see in the mountains. Okay, so onto the beach. Not far to go. It's just over there. So nearly onto the footpath. And back to Gardenstown. So this is the main road along the beachfront. Quite narrow. You definitely don't want to stick a foot over a wheel over here. I'm not too sure if anyone's gone over the edge before. Look at that. So that's me pretty much back almost at the harbour now. So that was 3 hours 45 minutes walk from Macduff to Gardenstown. And I'm knackered. I'm not normally knackered after a 3 hour 45 minute walk, but that ground was tough. Walking on that sown fields on the edges, it's hard work, it really is. The ploughed fields, that kind of stuff. So it's tough terrain. I've got sore feet as well. But that's an interesting walk for Aberdeenshire. I hope you all liked that one. So in the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you again very soon.